Good evening, my beautiful brothers and sisters in Yeshua. Today is Tuesday, the 26th of March, 2024. It is 9:39 p.m. here in Australia. I hope you're all very well and I hope you've been blessed. I've just been studying tonight and the last couple of nights, pretty full on, got pages and pages of information. And I was about to put it onto a Word document and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a video and make this as a record for myself, but also share it with you guys. I want to talk about AD 70. Okay, the destruction of the Second Temple. So as you guys know, where I stand now, I believe that, the rapture, the day of the Lord, all this stuff happened in the past, in 70 AD, okay? And it was prophesied from Daniel, from Jesus himself. And I want to share the stuff that I found today because it's pretty set in stone, solid, we can put this to rest. And, before I get into this, brothers and sisters, I want to really let you know that don't get disheartened by this already being in the past, because this is the most incredible thing that should alleviate all the fears that are incredibly heightened right now with, the Great Tribulation is coming, the mark of the beast is coming. This is a wonderful truth, brothers and sisters, that this is in the past. Okay, and I'm going to show you and prove to you through scripture and through historical accounts that this is indeed true, and we don't have to worry about any of this. This is such a freeing thing, and this is really where my heart and passion is now, to show you guys that this is in the past and we don't need to worry and be scared of this great tribulation, getting our heads cut off and, going to FEMA camps and all this stuff. Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to read you the stuff that I've got up here on the websites, and then I'm going to go through my notes and we're going to talk about it as we go. So this is a 7-page article here. It's not very long, so I'm just going to read it and talk about it. The destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. In AD 70, the Roman army, led by General Titus, destroyed Jerusalem and the Holy Temple, leaving only the outer retaining wall of the temple, known today as the Wailing Wall, where Jews and others of faith placed small pieces of paper containing personal requests into the crevices of the 65-foot high wall, hoping for answers to prayer. So as you can see here, leaving only the outer retaining wall of the temple. Revelation 11, but the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given to the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot for 42 months. I'll show you in a sec, but brothers and sisters, this started in 66 AD on Passover. Okay, this first started. So for 3.5 years, 42 months, 1,260 days, this is when the Roman army, led by Titus, started to come and attack the temple, okay? And there's many times that Titus took his army back and they would regroup and re-strategize. And this is what it meant when it said, when you therefore see the armies surrounding Jerusalem, you know that the desolation thereof is nigh, okay? So, and this is also in Matthew 24 when it says, therefore when you see the abomination of desolation standing where it ought not, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Okay, and you've got to remember Daniel the prophet, the second temple had not even been built yet. So Daniel wasn't prophesying about a third temple, brothers and sisters. He was prophesying about the second temple that was going to be desolated. Okay, and so when the abomination of desolation, which was, and then it says, and flee to the mountains when you see this happen. This is exactly what the people of God did. And God gave them time to do it, because from 66 AD onwards, the Roman army would come and try to break down the walls. They couldn't, so they'd go back and regroup. And in those times when they were going back, the people of Judea were able to flee. Okay, so let's continue reading. The destruction of the temple in AD 70 was significant for the early Catholic Church, which was comprised of thousands of Jews. After the temple was destroyed, the church was no longer seen as a Jewish sect, but as a new religion. The end of the Levitical priesthood and sacrificial system brought to a virtual close to the Jewish people. There was a continuation of the religious observances, but it was a mere shadow of what had existed before. Josephus was an eyewitness to this event. In his historical writing, The Jewish Wars, Josephus tells us that over 1 million Jews died either by the sword or by starvation during the siege of Jerusalem. Over 90,000 were taken prisoners and enslaved. Josephus estimates the number of Jews in Jerusalem at the Passover season of 70 AD to have risen above 3 million. The Roman army completely surrounded the city, and soon famine set in. Armed groups of citizens went from house to house in search of food, breaking down doors and confiscating food and anything of value for themselves. As the food scarcity intensified, conditions got worse, and order broke down completely in the besieged city as roving hordes of militants went totally berserk, looting, killing and ransacking homes and confiscating all the goods that they could lay their hands on without caring about how their victims would survive. In his account of the event, Josephus writes that thousands of Jews were captured as they went outside the walls to search for food. They were captured and ambushed, as he writes. And this is what Josephus writes. They were first whipped and then tormented with all sorts of tortures, and before they died, they were crucified before the wall of the city. Every day they caught 500 Jews, so the soldiers, out of their wrath and hatred they bore for the Jews, nailed those they caught to the crosses. Titus commanded that the hands of many of those caught should be cut off. Now those that perished by famine in the cities, the number was prodigious, and the miseries underwent were unspeakable, for if so much as the shadow of any kind of food did anywhere appear, a war was commenced, and the dearest of friends fell fighting one another. Nor did they at length abstain from girdles and shoes, and the very leather they pulled off and gnawed. A woman snatching up her son, who was a child suckling at her breast, said, "Come, be thy food." As soon as she said this, she slew her son and roasted him and ate one half of him and kept the other half concealed. Brothers and sisters, okay, this is the reality of it. And see how it said friends, they turned against friends. This is exactly what it says in Matthew 24, Luke 21 and Mark 13. It says that friends will become enemies of friends and they will turn on their own household. Okay, so we'll go on a bit. The destruction of the temple was predicted by Jesus in Luke 19. As he approached Jerusalem, he saw the city and he wept over it and said, "If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. The days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment or a trench against you and encircle you and hem you on every side. They will dash you to the ground, you and your children within the walls, and they will not leave one stone on another, because they did not recognize the time of God's coming to you," or it says in the King James, of God's visitation. Okay, they didn't know the time of their visitation. Brothers and sisters, AD 70 was the day of the Lord. Okay, it was the worst time in history and never will be again. And the reason you may think, there's been worse incidences in history and in the past, but as I've said over and over again, they killed God's son. Okay, they killed God's son. There's nothing worse than any human being can do on this earth is than kill God's son. Okay, so I don't want to make this video too long, but here we'll read this part. Josephus also wrote that there were mysterious signs foretelling the destruction of Jerusalem. There was a star resembling a sword which stood over the city, and a comet that continued a whole year. Thus also before the Jews' rebellion and before those commotions which preceded the war, when the people were come in great crowds to the feast of unleavened bread on the 8th day of the month of Nisan, and at the 9th hour of the night, so great a light shone round the altar and the holy house, that it appeared to be bright daytime, which light lasted for half an hour. At the same festival also a heifer, as she was led by the high priest to be sacrificed, brought forth a lamb in the midst of the temple. Okay. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, but there's something else I want to show you here. Okay, the abomination of desolation. When you therefore see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, then you know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Okay, the desolation thereof. And then we can go to Daniel 9. Okay, and again, I want to stress this. Daniel 9, verse 2, it says that in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by the books the number of years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. The desolation of Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. Okay, that is what we're talking about here. This is the 70 years from the time Christ was born into 70 AD. Okay, that was the time, the allotted time that God gave them to do these 7 things. To finish transgression, to make an end of sin, to make reconciliation of iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision, to seal up the prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. They had 70 years to do that, okay, from the birth of Christ, and in the midst of the week was his death, okay, and then in 70 AD was the end of this, this commandment that Father had made. Okay, and it says, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end shall be with a flood. Unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. Okay, the war started in Passover of 66 AD and literally went for 3.5 years, 42 months. Okay, 42 months. And even to its consummation, consummation is fire, right? Complete burning, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. This is exactly what all of the Day of the Lord versions, prophecies in the Old Testament was talking about. And this is why, Yeshua gave, where was it? The parable of the vineyard in Matthew 21. We'll just go there quickly. Okay, Matthew 21. Where are we? Matthew 21. Okay. Okay. Here another parable. There a certain householder which had planted a vineyard and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to the husbandman, and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandman, that they might receive the fruit of it. And the husbandman took his servants, and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. This is exactly what they did to all the prophets, right? The Pharisees and the Sadducees killed, stoned, and beat all of the prophets. Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all, he sent unto them his Son. For God the Father so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son, okay? And the Father was like, surely they shall reverence my Son. But when the husbandmen saw the Son, they said amongst themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. They killed the Son of God. And When the Lord therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard to another husbandman. Okay? He's going to give it to the Gentiles instead, which shall render him the fruits in their season. Jesus said unto them, Do ye never read the scriptures? The stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvellous in our eyes. Therefore, listen, I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. This is the best news in the entire world. Because of their rejection, we are able to seek the kingdom of God and enter into it. So this is absolutely wonderful, brothers and sisters. So let's go and have a look at this. Okay, so again, the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Okay, when they saw that, they were to those in Judea. Judea is not a place that exists anymore. But back then, when those in Judea saw this abomination, desolation, okay, you got to put that word in bold. Desolation means destruction, a complete emptying out, okay, and destruction. When they saw the beginning of that, they were told to flee and get out of there, and they were going to be the ones that were going to be protected in the wilderness. Okay, so let's go here. This, brothers and sisters, I can't wait to share this with you. When I found this, I'm like, this is unbelievable. So let's make this big. Okay, a lot of people will say that John, okay, because the book of Revelation is Matthew 24, it's Daniel 9, okay. Not everything has been fulfilled in the book of Revelation, which is awesome, but check this out, brothers and sisters, because a lot of people will say, the book of Revelation was written in the year 90 AD, so how can it be talking about this? How can it be talking about the Second Temple? No, brothers and sisters, if you study for yourself and research, you'll see that the book of Revelation, John wrote this in 68 AD. Okay, 68 AD. So he was witness to this also. And this is why the book of Revelation says, Behold, I come quickly. And, many times it talks in the present tense that something's going to happen very shortly. And Revelation 1:7, Behold, he comes with clouds, and every eye will see him, even those that pierced him. The people who killed Jesus Christ, they will see this. It was for their generation, okay? So check this out, the book of Revelation. When was the book of Revelation written? One of the most ancient versions of the New Testament, called the Syriac Pishito, I don't know how you say that, sorry, says the following on the title page of the book of Revelation. Okay, so this is one of the oldest books, this here, the Syriac, okay, says this on the title page of the book of Revelation. Again, the revelation which was upon the holy John, the evangelist from God, when he was on the island of Patmos, where he was thrown by the Emperor Nero. Okay, he got thrown to the island of Patmos by Emperor Nero. So Nero Caesar ruled over the Roman Empire from 54 to 68 AD. Therefore, John had to have been on the island of Patmos during this earlier period. One of the oldest versions of the Bible tells us when Revelation was written. That alone is a very compelling argument. 2. One is. Okay, this is the verse. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other one has not yet come, but when he does come, he must remain only for a short time. This is Revelation 17:10. This passage, which speaks of the line of the rulers in Rome, tells us exactly how many rulers have already come, which one was currently in power, and then the next one would only last a short time. While this perfectly fits with Nero and the Roman emperor of the first century. Okay, so we have the five here. The five have fallen. Julius Caesar, 49 to 44 BC. Augustus, 29 BC to AD 14. Tiberius, AD 14 to 37. Caligula, AD 37 to 41. Claudius, AD 41 to 54. And then Nero, he's AD 54 to 68. And then Galba, June AD 68 to January AD 69, a 6-month rulership, okay? Because it says, and the last one out of the 7 kings was to only remain a little time, which this last one here, he only remained for 6 months. Everything, brothers and sisters, everything. And like I said to you, in the time of all of this, there was this thing called the libellus, okay? And it was a scroll that people had to take around with them, and it would say, if you said, all right, I agree that I'm going to worship the pagan gods and the statues, and I'm going to give incense to them and bow down to them, you carried this scroll around you. It was called a libellus, right? And you had to have this scroll saying that you would worship these pagan idols for you to be able to buy and sell in the marketplace. Okay, if you didn't have it, you could not buy and sell. Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, this is all this is all in the past. Okay, existence of Jerusalem and the temple. The existence and integrity of Jerusalem and the temple, see Revelation 11, suggests a date before the destruction of AD 70. Because they're saying, John was talking about the temple, because he says, go and measure it, right? So this has to be before the destruction of the temple. If the book of Revelation was written in AD 96, only 26 years after the destruction of the temple and the holy city, it is shocking that John didn't mention the recent massacre of the city and temple. Does that not make so much sense, brothers and sisters? Okay, if Revelation was written in 96, 20 years after the destruction of the temple, why did John not write about it? It's pretty significant, don't you think? That's because it was written in 68 AD. Okay. The internal time-related portions of Revelation indicate that the events it foretold will come to pass shortly. See Revelation 1 and 3, 22:10 and 20. If this is read with an unbiased perspective, we can easily conclude Revelation was not written about events 2,000 years in the future. The time texts are bookends that frame the contents of the books. For instance, the things which must shortly take place. Behold, I am coming quickly. For the time is near. Behold, I am coming quickly. Yes, I am coming quickly. Okay, John's appearance in AD 96. Another reason to believe the book of Revelation was written at an earlier date is because Jerome noted in his writings that John was seen in AD 96 and that he was so old and infirm that he was with difficulty carried to the church and could speak only a few words to the people. We must put this fact together with Revelation 10:11, which says John must prophesy again concerning many people and nations and tongues and kings. It is difficult to imagine John would be able to speak to many nations and many kings at any date after 96, since he was already elderly and feeble. Timetable comparison with Daniel. In Daniel, the author was told to seal up the vision, for it was a long way off, in Daniel 12:4, which referred to a 483-year wait until Jesus came to fulfill this prophecy. By contrast, in Revelation, John was told to not seal up the vision because it was concerning things which must shortly come to pass. If 483 years was to be considered a long way off, meaning that the vision should be sealed, it would make no sense that 2,000 plus years would be considered shortly to come to pass and not to be sealed up. Clearly, the obvious answer is Revelation shouldn't be sealed because it was about to happen at the AD 70 destruction of Jerusalem. Brothers and sisters, I hope this is making this so clear to you. Those who believe in the later date of the authorship for the books of Revelation mainly lean on the fact that Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyons, in AD 120 to 202, claimed John wrote while on Patmos under Domitian's reign. This alone could seem compelling, except for Irenaeus is noted for making mistakes in recording dates and times in his writings. Irenaeus is the same church father who claimed Jesus' ministry lasted nearly 20 years, from the age of 30 into the age of 50. Because Revelation contains no internal evidence for a later date of authorship, proponents of the later date must lean only upon external evidences to force this conclusion. Even the external evidence of Irenaeus is not a reliable source, and many scholars have even picked apart Irenaeus' quote about the date of authorship as a possibly being very misunderstood quotation. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Brothers and sisters, it makes so much sense, okay? Jesus wasn't mucking about. He wasn't being, confusing or whatever. He said, the things which must shortly come to pass. Behold, I'm coming quickly, for the time is near. Behold, I come in the clouds, and every eye will see me, even those that pierced me. And, these are the 7 kings, right? 5 have fallen. 1 is, and 1 is yet to come, and he'll remain for a short time. So this is very compelling. Okay, so the book of Revelation there. Oh, that's what I just read. Okay, I'll just go through these quickly, and then I'm going to read my notes to you. Okay, so I'm going to read my notes. Okay, so I've got here Matthew 27:53, and they came out of the grave after his resurrection and went to the holy city and appeared to many. Okay, let's go there, because this is how I first started my study, right? This morning I went and visited my mum and dad, and just before I pulled in, I got my little voice recorder out and recorded this. Actually, I'll let you listen to it. I'll bring it up. It's a little voice recording that I did this morning, because it just came to me and I thought, well, I don't have a pen and paper. I'm just going to record it on here. So let's listen. So Moses and Elijah and all the people that were in Abraham's bosom, when Christ went to the belly of the earth and freed the captives, they all went up to the camp of the saints, the holy city. And after Christ was resurrected, the graves cracked open, and many of those that slept in the dust came up and went to the holy city, which is the camp of the saints. And this is the outer courts of the temple. And we're waiting to go into the holies of holies. And this is what we're waiting for. Okay, so I just said that quickly before I forgot it rather. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you, because we read here, okay, in when Christ was crucified, we came here, so in the 6th hour there was darkness over the land to the 9th hour. Okay, and behold, when he cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from top to bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened. Okay, this is the first resurrection, brothers and sisters. And many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the grave after his resurrection and went to the holy city, and appeared to many. And I'm like, oh my goodness, is this not Revelation 20, the camp of the saints. Okay, and they went up to the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints, the beloved city. Brothers and sisters, is this what happened when Christ died on the cross, and when after his resurrection, they came out of the graves and they went up to the holy city and appeared to many? Is this where they are? They're at the camp of the saints right now. And so is this like, you know how the Catholic Church talks, this is just coming to me now actually, you know how the Catholic Church talks about purgatory? It's like a place of holding. Okay, we're sort of held somewhere until, the great white throne judgment. Do the people, the naughty people, the wicked people, the unbelievers, are they, left in outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth? And then are we in the camp of the saints in the holy city, awaiting for New Jerusalem to come down? So I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then I also thought too, where are we? We're in, where is that? The Transfiguration, right? The Transfiguration. Let's have a look at that. I want to know your opinion on this, because look at this. Remember the story of Lazarus, right? When he died, he went into Abraham's bosom, right? And then the rich guy died, and he was over on the other side of the chasm in hell, basically. And he shouted out to Abraham, he's like, "Oh, Abraham, please send us a drop of water to put on my tongue. It's so hot over here." And Abraham was like, there's a great chasm between us, and, all this type of stuff. So this proves life after death straight away. Okay, a lot of people are like, the whole soul sleep, and we don't know nothing or anything like this. But no, brothers and sisters, this is exactly what happened when Christ was crucified on the cross. He went to the belly of the earth to free the captives, which were in Abraham's bosom. Because Abraham and all those people prior to Christ, they didn't know. They knew of a Messiah because of the prophecy. But then Christ came down and said, "I am the Son of God." And they all accepted him, and they got freed, right? And they were the ones that came out and went to the holy city. I bet you any money that they were the ones who came out to the holy city. However, I want to know something. Here. Full chapter, Matthew 17. Okay, so after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and brought them up to a high mountain, and was transfigured before them. And behold, there appeared Moses and Elias talking with him. Okay, so why is it just Moses and Elias? Okay, because everybody else was in Abraham's bosom, right? And they were held captive there, but until Jesus went down to the belly of the earth and freed the captives. So why is it, because this is before Christ's crucifixion and his death, why is Moses and Elias, or Elias, why were they? And then I thought, okay, this is why I did a big study on Moses, right? Because I looked at Moses, I'm like, okay, why is Moses so special? And he's like the lawgiver, okay? He was the lawgiver. And then I looked into why Elijah was so special, and he was the miracle worker. And so Jesus is literally both of them, right? Jesus is literally both of them. He, he was the miracle worker, and, he came down to be a witness to God's will. And so, I'm just interested to wondering why it was Moses and Elias. So that's just my little take on that. Okay, so here also too, and disciples are saying, why then did the scribes say Elias must come first? Jesus answered them and said, Elias truly shall come first and restore all things. And then the disciples understood that he spoke to them of John the Baptist. So there's another reason that the day of the Lord is coming. Because in Malachi, Okay, Malachi in the Jewish Tanakh, there is no Malachi 4. It's just a big chapter 3, which is sus on itself. But it says here, "Lo, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord." Okay, I'm going to send you Elijah before. And, he was John the Baptist. So before the great day of the Lord, Elias would come. And it says here that he was John the Baptist. So it makes even more evidence for the fact that the day of the Lord happened in 70 AD. And again, I want to stress the reason why it is the day of the Lord. It was the one that was prophesied all through the whole Old Testament. And we are not more wicked than the generation that killed all the prophets and killed God's son. Nothing is worse than that. Nothing is worse than that. And so we'll continue on here. Okay, Luke 29, 27 to 30. Oh yeah, check this out. Okay, check this out. This is cool. All right, Luke 29. Okay, so we've got from verses 27 to 30. Okay, there is no Luke 29. Hang on a second, I need to find this. Okay, sorry, it's Luke 23, verses 29 to 30. So I'll go down here. 29. Okay, we'll start at 28. No, start at 27. It says, "And there followed him," so this is like when Christ is walking with the cross and stuff, right? "And there followed him a great company of people and of women, which were also bewailed and lamented him. But Jesus, turning unto them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. Listen to this, for behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bore, and the paps which never gave suck." Where's that written? In Matthew 24. Woe to those women, that are pregnant and, that give suck in those days. Okay? Listen to this. "Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us." Brothers and sisters, this is Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. Let's go there quickly. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, this has already come to pass. This is good news. This is good news, okay? "And beheld when they opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black, sackcloth, the moon as blood. The stars of heaven fell to earth, as a fig tree cast untimely figs, and she's shaken of a mighty wind. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens of the rocks and the mountains, saying to them, Fall on us and hide us from him that sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" There you go, brothers and sisters. There you go. "And then they shall begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. And blessed are the barren, and whose wombs that never bore, and the paps which never gave suck." Okay, he's telling the women not to weep for him, but for the children. This is amazing, brothers and sisters, and I hope you can see this. All right, what have we got? The parable of the vineyard. I already read that. Given to a nation, bringing, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth the fruits thereof. And the reason why this verse is so incredible and so exciting was because I watched something last night that was almost convincing me that everything in Revelation was done, and that we were living in I know it sounds ridiculous, but this guy had such good points. We were living in the new earth, right? And basically, things were going on, but it just played at me all last night and all today, because I'm like, no, because it says, God's going to wipe away every tear. There's not going to be any more death. There's not going to be any more sickness and all this kind of stuff. I thought we cannot be all the way near the end. At the end, Revelation has not been completely fulfilled. We're still waiting on the great white throne judgment. Of those that are dead in the sea and stuff like that. Because this didn't happen in 70 AD. All the people that were brought up out of the sea, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, that is the great white throne judgment we haven't seen. But this, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you, talking about the Jews, the Israelites, and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. So this is after 70 AD. So this means that we're living in that time now. We're the ones being given the kingdom of God now, and we're the one bringing forth fruit. So this is exciting. This is really, really exciting. And as I was saying to my mum this morning, there's so much angst on this eclipse, right? Yes, it's 7 years ago it went through 7 towns called Salem, which means peace, and now it's going through 7 towns, which is called Nineveh, which is destruction. And you've got the whole rapture watching community saying, yeah, this is going to be the rapture, or it's 40 days later. And then you've got the new ages that are like, yeah, this is going to be the solar flare when we're going to ascend to the 5th dimension. And then you've got the preppers that are like, yeah, this is, there's going to be a biological warfare, an EMP attack or something. Everybody in all the corners are feared, are displaying fear. And this is what the enemy loves. He can play out the book of Revelation as many times as he wants, and that's what he's been doing, because the energy of fear feeds them, brothers and sisters. It feeds them. But once we come out and the truth which sets us free, and we can come out of her, my people, and realize that this is all in the past. And I want to show you something which you need to live by. Okay, you need to live by this from now on, brothers and sisters. This is where it's at. Luke chapter 10, verse 19. This is Jesus saying this. Behold, I give unto you the power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. He's giving us all power over the serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. Jesus, okay, let's have a look at this. Destroy enemy. Okay, this is where it's at. Okay, it's basically, hang on, I'm going to find. This is 1 John 3, 7-9, right? Little children, let no man deceive you. He that does righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. Listen to this. He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Whoever is born from God does not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born from God. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. We have to have the faith of the centurion, okay? Where he came up and he said, Jesus, my little girl is sick, and Jesus is like, all right, I'll come. And the centurion's like, no, I'm not worthy for you to come into my house, but, I have people under me just as you do. I say go do this, they go do it just like you do. But just say the word and she will be healed. And then Jesus said, I have never found such great faith in all of Israel. This one man's faith belief. That's what it's always about, and that's what I tell you in every single video that I do. It is the belief, and you have to believe Luke 10. Okay, Luke 10, brothers and sisters. I give you power to tread on the serpents and the scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, nothing shall by any means hurt you. That is the truth. This is what sets us free. Jesus already conquered the grave. He conquered death. He conquered Satan and all evil. Okay, it is only because we fear and we allow Satan to come into our lives and to worry us and make us fearful. That is not showing faith, brothers and sisters. That is not showing trust in what Jesus spoke and what he died for. This is the most freeing thing I can ever tell you, is you are not to worry anymore. I don't want you worrying anymore. I don't want you worrying about, am I good enough for the rapture? Or, or is the great tribulation coming? Or has God left us behind? Or is, this whole rapture theory, brothers and sisters, is causing a great misdemeanor against our loving Father in heaven. Okay, it's not fair on him. Okay, this was a terrible doctrine that is brought onto us by the sneaky, conniving, cunning devil. Okay, and it's just a boy who cried wolf. The person dangling the carrot in front of the donkey. We continuously, this date looks good. This date looks good. What do you think is going to happen when Passover comes and goes, and when 40 days comes and goes? So many people are going to be, that's it, I've had enough. How often do you see on people's comments, they're like, the Lord has to come now. He has to come now. I can't deal with this life anymore. Okay, this is they honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Many people are going to come to me that day and say, Lord, Lord, did I not do all of this in your name? And he's going to say, get away from me. I don't know who you are. Because you're constantly, the rapture people are like constantly, save me, take me away. But, anyway, I really need you to understand, brothers and sisters, that Christ gave us all this power, and he conquered, the enemy, and he was manifested to destroy evil. So what else have I got here? Okay, let's have a look at this. Matthew 22. This is the parable of the wedding. Okay. The parables are awesome, and he spoke in parables so that he would confuse the Pharisees and the Sadducees, okay? And Jesus answered and spoke to them again in parables and said, the kingdom of heaven is like a certain king which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Okay, the Father had his chosen people, and he asked them, invited them to the wedding, but they wouldn't come. Okay, this is what God did all through the whole Old Testament, is like saying, come into the kingdom of God. It's here for you. But they were ignorant, they were stiff-necked, they were adulterers, they were murderers, they were fornicators, they were liars. Okay, again, he sent forth other servants saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. The wedding's been ready for a long time, okay? Come into my marriage. But they made light of it, and they went their way. One to his farm, another to his merchandise, and look at them today. Look at them today. They do the same thing today. They own all the newspapers, all the TV shows, everything. They're the richest people on earth, okay? They're the synagogue of who. And the remnant took his servant and entreated them spitefully and slew them. Okay, that's what they did. They took all the servants and the prophets, including his son, and killed them. Now, when the king or the father heard of this, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers. And what did he do? Burned up the city. This is exactly what happened on 70 AD. The city burned, okay? The city burned. Okay, it burned. Okay, then he said to the servants, the wedding is ready. Those which were bidden, those which were invited, they're not worthy anymore, okay? So now I want you to go into the highways and find as many as you can and invite them to the marriage. And so the servant went out to the highways and gathered them together, as many as he found, both bad and good. I mean, that's so beautiful. He's gathering both the bad and good. And I always say to my mum and dad, who were Jesus' best friends? The prostitutes, the publicans, the tax collectors, the centurions, the people that, were always spoken down on and made fun of. And, us little lowly people that never made anything on this earth, we don't have PhDs, we didn't go to university. This is where we're at. We are in the God gang, you know what I mean? And the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came to see his guests, there he saw a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said, friend, how did you get here without a wedding garment? And he was speechless. And that's what the wedding garment is. It is the blood of Yeshua Jesus Christ. And that's one thing that will never change, no matter what age we're living in, no matter what part of history or, until this all wraps up that we're living in, this will never change. Okay, we believe in Father's Son, that he died for us on the cross, and that through that belief and faith, we will have everlasting life and not perish. Okay, and it says, to be absent from the body, we're going to be present with the Lord. This is the beautiful thing now. We're not going into Abraham's bosom and waiting to be freed as captives. Christ already accomplished this on the cross. So as soon as we shut our eyes and we are absent from this body, okay, this is why death is not scary. And I tell my kids this, I'm like, we've got nothing to fear. Nothing to fear at all. Because as soon as you close your eyes, you're going to be in the presence of the Almighty God, and his precious Son. So, anything else I wanted to talk to you about? Matthew 23:34. I send prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of you will crucify them and scorn them in your synagogues and persecute them. Okay, this is Matthew 24, They're going to bring you up to their synagogues and they're going to beat you and persecute you, right? And then it says here, let's have a look. Let's go. It's Matthew 23, because this is so important. Down here. What verse was it? 34. Okay, let's listen to this. We'll read this whole thing here. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchre of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our father, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. So, and wherefore you be witness unto yourself, that you are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up then a measure of your fathers, ye serpents, you generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you will crucify, and some of them you shall scorn in the synagogues, and persecute them from city to city. Listen to this now, that upon you, okay, he's talking to the people, these Pharisees and Sadducees that have killed the prophets, okay, that come from that generation, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zacharias, the son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Listen, verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stoneth them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chick under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Okay, for I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth until you say, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. This is talking about the 70 AD. Okay, this is talking about 70 AD. You know, when the Pharisees were saying, tell us, who are you? Are you the Son of God? And he wouldn't speak. And then the Pharisees were like, we deplore you under the oath of God. Tell us who you are. And because they used the old Levitical law of, swearing, this is Jesus. This is why Jesus said, don't swear against the temple, don't swear against God, let your yes be yes and your no be no. But he was still going by their laws. And because they said, tell us under, oath from God, who are you? He said, right, well, I'll tell you, I am the Christ. I'm the Son of the living God. And, they went to pick up the stones and stuff to stone him. Hang on, I want to read that to you because it's... So the verse, it's in John chapter 10, and it's here, I and my Father are one. And the Jews took the stone again to stone him. And Jesus answered, many good works I have shown you from my Father. Which of those works do you stone me? The Jews answered him, for saying the good works we stone you not, but for the blasphemy, and because that thou, being a man, makest thyself God. Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods? Okay, and this is in Psalms 82, where it says, ye are all gods, you're all children of the Most High. So, I think this is where we're getting the Trinity thing from, getting confused with Jesus actually being God, the Father, and he's not. He's the Son of the living God, okay? But for some reason that's not his... I don't know why I started telling you that thing. But anyway, brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave you with that. This makes absolute sense. And, this is why it says in, again, in Luke 21, when you therefore see the army surrounding Jerusalem, then you know the desolation thereof is nigh. And when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, again, the second temple wasn't even built. When Daniel was making those prophecies, it wasn't built for another 483 years. So he was talking about the second temple, not this imaginary third temple, because our Father is a spirit, okay? And Jesus Christ is the image of the invisible God. This is why no man has ever seen God. But Jesus Christ came to be the representation of what God is and who God is. And this is why he said, me and the Father are one. And we're all one, okay? We're all one with the Father and with the Son if we have the will of God. And the will of God is that you believe in his Son. And, the things that make God happy are being charitable, being kind, being peaceful, being loving, speaking grace, having mercy. Those are all the things that God loves and, that he wants for us. But he doesn't want us to fear. So, please, brothers and sisters, with this upcoming eclipse and stuff, don't fall for the hype of the fear. It's I'm telling you, there will be no rapture. And, I can say this very comfortably, being once a massive rapture pusher. This is since 2016 up until the end of 2023. I was like, boom, hardcore rapture believer. And, but the one thing I've always remained is I want to know Father's truth. no matter how uncomfortable it is. And yes, this truth was uncomfortable at the beginning because it was something that was so drastically different than what I first believed. But now I see how this is so much more beautiful. So, a lot of people say, well, what does that mean for us? Where are we? We're here, that Satan is now going up to deceive the nations. And he's doing that with pharmakia and sorcery. We can see this happening right now. Okay, and they're going up to the breadth of the earth to compass the camps of the saints and the beloved city. That's that holy city where those people, after Christ's resurrection, came up out of the graves. That's where they are, in the beloved city, in the holy city, and they're waiting. It's like we're waiting in the outer courts, okay, because we cannot go into the holy of holies and be in the presence of the Father until we're rid of these corruptible bodies, right? We need to, it says for every man has to die once, and then we're going to be united with the Father. And, it's just on one other thing, like I've said before, I believe that we were all in heaven before we came down to this earth. This is why our names are written in the book of life since the foundation of the creation of the earth, right? I think our names were already written there. This whole thing's already been done. The victory has already been won. But, I reckon we were all up there, and then Satan did his thing where he started getting pride in his heart and all this kind of stuff. And then because God is so just and so fair, we all had to go through this experience that we call humanity, okay? We all had to come down to this earth and experience being humans. It's possible, brothers and sisters, and this is just something that I'm looking into now, but there's scriptures to back this up. It's possible that we were all angels before, because it says, hang on, do I have it written here? I don't have it written here, but it says, in the resurrection, we're going to be, let's see if I can find it quickly. Resurrection. Angels. I think we were all angels before. In context. For in the resurrection neither do they marry, nor are they given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. So I think that we were angels of God in heaven, and then because of what Satan did, and finding the pride in his heart and him whispering sweet nothings into people's ears, and then the choice had to be made, right? Because Satan promised us, I can do it much better than God. I can do it much better than the Father. And so the Father being awesome and just and everything, we all had to come down here and experience this situation where we had to choose good or evil, okay? Because one other reason I say this is that we're all angels, because when you have a look at this, a lot of people are going to get cranky when I say this, but I need you to hear this, because like I've said before that I believe that Yeshua, Jesus Christ, is actually an angel as well. So full chapter. Okay, so look at this. He says, this is the Father talking about the Son, being made so much better than the angels, as he has by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. So by inheritance, he just has a more excellent name. Okay, he's the best of the angels. And then it goes and says, for unto which of the angels said he at any time, thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee, and again I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, see, this means that Christ had a beginning, brothers and sisters. He wasn't always there, he wasn't always God the Father. And again, when he bringeth in the first begotten of the world, he said, and let all the angels of God worship him. And of the angels, he said, who makes his angels spirits and ministers of a flame of fire. But which But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool? Okay, they are not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? Okay, so, and then we have angel. And I want to go to Revelation to try and finish up on my point here. It's the angel with the rainbow. Let's go to the next slot. And the reason I think Christ is this angel where is this angel? It's the angel with the rainbow around its head. Just give me 2 seconds because I really want to try and... is it 18? Nope. All right. Okay, the last chapter of the Bible. Okay, so basically there was an angel, and the angel had, I think it was the 7th one, so the most important one. It basically he had a rainbow around his head, and he was clothed with the cloud. I mean, that sounds like Yeshua Jesus Christ, right? He was clothed with the cloud and he had a rainbow around his head. And then when you see at the beginning of Revelation, Father's throne is a rainbow around about, okay? That covers the throne. And who sits at the right-hand side of the throne? Yeshua Jesus Christ, okay? Now we see here, Revelation 22, this is this same angel who's shown John all this stuff. He's talking about the pure river of life, clear crystal proceeding out of the throne of God and the Lamb. There shall be no more curse there, but the throne of God and the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And there shall be no night there, no candle, no sun, for the Lord giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. And then it says, and I, John, saw these things and heard them, and when I'd seen them, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. And what does the angel say, brothers and sisters? And then saith he unto me, see that you don't do that, for I am a fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the saying of this book worship God. What did Jesus say when he was on this earth? Good master, what must we do to be saved? And Jesus says, who are you calling good? There's only one good, and that's the Father in heaven, and only him shall you serve. So, this is pretty significant, and this is why I think the Council of Nicaea was set up to, where they had to come and agree that, Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit, they're all one God, but they're three. And, it's for people who think that they're going to get to heaven and the only person on the throne is going to be Jesus. I'm telling you, we need to come out of that. Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, will be sitting at the right-hand side of his Father. Okay, and he has the inheritance just as we have the inheritance. Look at this. Brother, mother. Let's have a look if I can find it. New Testament. Okay. And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples, this is Jesus, and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven is the same as my brother, my sister, and my mother. Okay? We are children of God, the Father. But Christ is like our brother and we are his sisters and brothers, and like a mother to Christ, okay? So it's the Son and the Father. This is such an important relationship that we need not to put, Pharisee and Sadducee biblical doctrines on, which are doctrines of devils, if you ask me. Okay, so anyway, my whole thing was about, 70 AD and showing you, brothers and sisters. Luke 19, they're going to come and they're going to build trenches around and surround, encompass, okay? And they're going to come upon you and destroy the city, and you're not going to know this because you didn't know the time of your visitation. What's the visitation? The day of the Lord. So, brothers and sisters, when you can see this and understand that, and like I said, with those women weeping, don't weep for me, weep for your children. Because it's going to come a time when you're going to say, blessed are those that are barren and those that can't breastfeed. And you're going to be the ones that are asking the rocks to fall on you and to cover you. Exactly like Revelation 6. Okay? And every eye will see him, even those that pierced him. He said to the Pharisees and Sadducees, he said, your wicked and adulterous generation, you will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven and coming into his kingdom. You're going to witness this, and everything's going to be fulfilled. When 70 AD happened, everything was fulfilled. Not one, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words won't pass away until everything be fulfilled, right? This is why the sacrificial, the killing of animals and all this sacrifice stuff completely was fulfilled. The law and all that was fulfilled in 70 AD. And now we live under the grace and the gift of God, which he gave to us, which is his Son. That's not to say because we've got this gift and this grace that we go out and sin. We still got to live a godly life, but it has to be something that we want, that we desire from our heart. Okay, so that's the big difference. But don't fear. Don't fear, don't fear. That's my absolute message with this video. So I only wanted to bring across this a quick video, like I always say, but I did this for myself too, to record my study so that I could go back on it and look on it. But hopefully I've put everything into it, and this is cool. This is cool, and it makes so much sense. Why was John talking about, the temple and counting it and measuring it if it was destroyed already? And why didn't John mention the massacre that happened in that time? So anyway, I'll leave you with that, brothers and sisters. I hope this video has blessed you. I hope it's given you something to think about and to study and to continue to look into this and to be free, to be really free, We're just about to go to the new heaven and the new earth. And I'm going to finish on one thing, which I think if we're going to look for anything, if we're going to look for something as a sign, then look for people surrounding Russia. Okay, so look, I'm going to draw you something quickly before I go. Let's go a fresh page here. I'm going to do a landscape. I want to draw you something quickly to just as an idea. Okay, so where are we? Actually, no, I won't do that. Hang on, we'll cancel that. We're going to go back here. I'm going to go to my Facebook page. I want to go to something. I want to show you something. Alright, see this picture here? This is all the old world maps, okay? I'm going to finish with this. This is all the old world maps. Okay, and so in the middle there, this is how I think the earth is. This is what it says compassing, okay? And the four corners of the earth. So this middle point here is where I believe the Garden of Eden is. This is where Rupus Niger is, which is the big black gigantic magnetic rock, where all of our compasses point to north. This is the north. This is Zion, brothers and sisters. This is the camp of the saints. Here's your 4 rivers, where it talks about in Genesis how, the Garden of Eden has 4 rivers that come off it. This is the Euphrates River, how it has 7 heads, just like the Bible says. And all these nations, they surround it. So this is why if everyone was to go up completely north, then we would all come to the camp of the saints, okay? And I was thinking the other day, because I always assumed that the Garden of Eden or something like that would, is buried under the sand in the desert. Because, you think the Middle East is probably buried under the sand in the hot desert. But then I thought, hang on, no, because we've got the technology that, we could go in the desert. They could build a desert sturdy vehicle that has air conditioning that can last for 3 weeks, and we could go and look for evidences of this buried city, right? But where can't we look, brothers and sisters, is under the ice, under snow. Because even with our machinery, boats and everything like this, your equipment seizes up when the temperature is so cold, right? So I thought, what a perfect place. And then look what they do to cover it up. Oh, Santa Claus lives in the North Pole and he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. And the elves live there, and he's a magical guy who comes and gives gifts, and he flies with reindeers and all this rubbish. It's such a distraction. So I think this magnetic North Pole, like we've talked about in other videos, it is drifting. It is drifting because we're on the waters below, the waters above, the seas and the earth were separated from each other. It's drifting. It was in Canada in 2017. Now it's heading towards Siberia, and Siberia is in Russia. And I think this is why the propaganda is for the whole world to hate Russia. Because I think that's where the camp of the saints is, in the snow, in the depth of the cold. And this is why I think all the nations surrounding, this is a true map here, I think all the nations, Americas, Australias, Asia, all of them, they surround the camp of the saints. And so this is why I think they're using the alien agenda, because they're going to say that it's aliens. And George Bush Sr. said, we need an existential crisis to unite the world, like a threat that's going to unite the world together. What better than a giant mothership, which is really probably the New Jerusalem. Okay, we're going to see the New Jerusalem, and all the people of the nations will come together and let's shoot it down. This could be where Bible prophecy plays out, Revelation 20, where it says, that they all come, encompass the camps of the saints, and then God comes down with fire and devours them all. And then the great white throne judgment happens. So this is what I think, if you want to be looking for the end times, look towards Russia, and when the nations are all coming together to go against Russia. That's what I think we should be looking at, if you want to watch that. I don't know when, I think it could be in the year 2026 that we're looking at. Possibly because of a lot to do with the Statue of Liberty. I'm not going to go into that now, but I think that's an homage to Satan. I think that's really a statue of Satan, of Lucifer, the light bearer. As you can see on the foot of Statue of Liberty, there's a chain that's broken. I think that's an homage of Satan. And in 1776, I think that was, and the little season is 250 years. That's only just a guess. That's not thus saith the Lord. But if that's the case, then it's, 2026 would be a short season, which would be a quarter of the 1,000 years. But that's what I think to end my video of where we are in time and what we should be looking for. Not a rapture, not a great tribulation, not the mark of the beast and all this other stuff. Remember, nothing can touch you. Okay, we have power over all the enemy, over all evil. Christ already paid for that. and he secured that victory. So I'm going to leave you with that good news. And I love you. I pray this video has blessed you. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. And I hope this video gives you, you know, a bit of stuff to go off and research on your own. All right. God bless you. I love you. Bye-bye.